Hello, and I truly do hope you're having a swell time. Welcome to Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Iwebike. We start with our newspapers today, and right after that would be a main conversation also. Please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have with us joining us live right here from our headquarters, Emeka Madunagu, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have from our newspapers and possibly get us through our main conversation for today. Good morning, Emeka, and welcome.
Hello, good morning, my pleasure.
Thank you so very much for your time. So let's start today, interestingly, with the first daily on our desk, Saturday Vanguard it is, and we have the big story. Drug promotions flooding social media. How patients go blind, suffer stroke, experience kidney failures. We have a laundry list of riders to that particular story. Let me just take two of them. We have miracle promises are killers, and that's coming from medical experts, and equally situations unethical, life-threatening. It's coming from doctors. Bypassing pharmacies may cause mortality, and that's coming from the Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria. And we are monitoring online pharmacies for fake drugs. That's coming from NAFDAC also. And on the top strip, we have Fubara resumes pledges loyalty to Tinubu, and Nyesom, Wike, his boss and political advisor. We have on the downstrip there, Plateau, we are reviving agriculture. Others are amidst a struggle with insecurity. And equally, we have other interesting stories. Renting peace in the north. Why new deals with killers may fail again. We have another vintage one here. That Tafawa Balewa's vacation in retrospect, remembering a better yesterday. Emeka, let's start with the proliferation of drug advertising on social media, especially in Nigeria. How patients go blind, suffer stroke, experience kidney failure as a result of a myriad of some of those drugs peddled on social media. Social media is great, it's good, but comes with effects such as what we have just seen reported on the Vanguard newspaper.
Well, thank you very much. People should be aware of self-medication. It makes sense to consult a doctor when somebody is ill or feels certain things are not working well with them, with their system, and so it makes sense, consulting all these people on social media. I mean, some of them are just quacks. Like one of them was cut out recently. He had been giving recommendations to people to men, about how to elongate their, their private member. And, later people called him out that he was lying. And, of course, it was established that many who found the recommendations to be not to be working were too ashamed to come out to say that, hey, this your stuff is not, this stuff is not working. So that was why, but it was, I think somebody now maybe heard or noticed and took him over and said, wait a minute. So since then, he has not come out on X. So the thing is this, even while you want to get recommendations from social media, consult a doctor.
So does it mean we might possibly get rid of travel medical ingenuity?
No, that's why what I said encompasses everything.
So if you needed a travel medicine, you need a doctor to give you the advice on whether to do that or not.
First of all, everybody must be responsible for their health. Try to eat good food, try to sleep well, try to rest well, avoid staying in a toxic environment That's talking about, you know, a place with toxic fumes from generators and from, you know, and from other things that could endanger, like even all these devices. You're going to bed, don't keep your phone too close to you. Don't keep your power bank too close to you, your laptop, your devices, you know, things like that. Sleep in a quiet and dark environment, you know, so that you can enjoy your sleep. And then, of course, if you notice certain things are not okay with your system, then you see a doctor. But you see, yes, about tradomedical. I hope that our tradomedical practitioners will continue to improve their art to the point where they can be, you know, fully drafted into the conventional medical practice. But what you find are just vendors, street vendors, you know, moving about with different kinds of concoctions.
But do you doubt the efficacy of some of these things?
Well, there's even no efficacy because
there's no efficacy in tradomedicine.
No, not tradomedicine.
Okay.
No, what I said is that whatever it is that people have to take, you have to be sure it has a NAFDAC number, 1. 2, the producers should provide a text system, you know, an SMS system that can, you know, you send an SMS to a number and then you get a response to say that this, that what you want to buy is genuine, is not adulterated. That is 1. And then 2, of course, has gone through NAFDAC checks and found to be, you know, that. But again, whatsoever you take into your body, you have to be very careful because your body will have to do some work to digest it, you know, and absorb it. So all in all, people should be careful about the things they take. Because when you find the street vendors, they just mix one thing or the other. What do they know? They don't have any medical experience.
I really love the fine art of their mixture. You know, they have a way of doing it without regulations for quantity.
The health authorities should actually look into that because a lot of them sell sex stimulants, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of them, you know. And then they tell you they have mixtures for waist pain, for rheumatism, for malaria, and all of that. But all in all, you know, I think people should just try to be careful.
All right, people should be careful. Of course, we'll have to give it up to you know, the very dark man that was in his earlier days of advocacy. He was really down on ensuring that all of those social media advertised, you know, medicines that cure lots of things. He ensured that some of them were brought to limelight to agencies to ensure that they were, you know, checked. Especially the slim things, you know,
it's all over the
drink
world.
and slim this and all those things. Yeah.
Didn't a former first lady go to Spain to do a tummy talk and she died? She didn't die here. She died in Spain. So that is see, whatever you say in Nigeria,
yes,
you will find it all over the world, but at different levels.
Yes.
So that is why if you find an artisan that cheats you here, an artisan is you're very likely to find the same thing, even in higher degrees, at a higher degree, in other parts of the world.
Okay.
The only thing is just exercise caution.
All right. All right. Very careful, everyone. Be careful what you take. The human body, the human anatomy is still very fragile. And sometimes we shouldn't believe or think that we are superhumans and therefore we might do superhuman, extraordinary things. It's just very fragile, every part of the human anatomy. But let's take a look at the late Tafawa Balewa. And we have here his vacation, of course, since he left us, in retrospect, remembering better yesterday. Emeka, let's compare him to what we have today. He was the Prime Minister in First Republic, and we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Do you have anything you have to say? Compare and contrast. Let's see.
Oh, well, I can't compare them because
please help us. Help us. You're a historian. Help us.
They are different epochs. They have different eras.
No governance, that is, of course. There's a standard to every leader.
That makes it worse because
yes.
Tinubu is an executive president.
Okay.
While Tafawa Balewa was a prime minister, he had a president. He also had the opposition. But the sad thing was that the politics played in the First Republic was not allowed to develop to the point where politicians could start understanding each other. I believe if the January 15, 1966 coup had not happened, and if a state of emergency had not been declared in the western region, then I believe that I think somehow the crisis would have been better managed. Because of course politicians were playing in Nigeria. Our problem is ethno-religious bigotry.
It has always been
in other parts of the world. Yeah. There is racism, masked as in different ways. Yeah. So Tafawa Balewa was an interesting prime minister. I mean, if you go back to his speech at the United Nations, people still point to that speech. It was in 1964, so where, and his diction was fantastic.
Awesome.
His diction was fantastic. He was a teacher. He was a school teacher, and he would fly to his home in Bauchi, stay with his family, sit on the floor, like a typical northern, lower class person.
And sorry to interject on that particular, because you talked about diction. What is wrong with us these days that those in the academia, even our leaders, don't, when they speak, you ask yourself, what are these people talking about? Is it not the same English that was taught, back in the days that we still learn today? What has gone wrong?
No, nothing has gone wrong. I think, thank God you raised that. It's an ongoing debate in the teaching system. There is a school of thought that says children should be taught with phonics.
Okay.
Instead of with symbols. In school they tell you A for apple, B for ball, C for car. Yeah. But some people say no, that you should go to the phonetic symbols. A, B, that you should teach children, so that they can recognize and understand the phonetic, the phonetics behind every letter, every word. That way you will get people to better communicate. I think I'm not very sure, but I think that's what they used.
Okay, that was what they got right back in the days.
Yes, in the days.
Because you heard those Nnamdi Azikiwe impeccable.
Yeah, no, but some of them schooled abroad. Well, also schooled abroad, so the environment.
Okay, the environment had a little bit of change.
And then, of course, then you had the literacy. So they went through stand 6, what they call standard 6 there. And they had to write, even the writing in cursive and all of those things. So they were more thorough. The colonialists, I'm sorry, I don't like to use that word, master. The colonialists were more thorough in terms of the kinds of, the way they, got education imparted to the people.
Because when you hear the likes of Yakubu Gowon, Odumegu Ojukwu speak, and you compare it to the CDSs that we've had in Nigeria, you ask yourself, is it that these people didn't understand the rules of engagement when it comes to communication and delivery?
Let me tell you something. It is also, while one of the things I tell my children is this: your mother and I can do so much for you, but there is also some of the things you need to do for yourselves. You need to appreciate the fact that you must, engage in self-development.
Okay.
This generation is even lucky. They have a technology with them, so it's there. You have access to YouTube. So if you want to increase, instead of getting stuck on TikTok, watching people dancing and some unhelpful videos, you can go on YouTube. I want to learn how to speak better. A lot of these big men, they have votes for their offices, for different things in their offices. What will it take you just to get data and sit back, or even get somebody to teach you, or even you can get some of these things, online, can download and sit down. But the problem is lack of intellectual rigor. People just want to start and go. Okay, look at Nigeria. Go to the medium-term expenditure framework for 2025-2027. I think between pages 50 and 52. You will see somewhere where the government of Nigeria said that its economic plan is taken from an IMF document.
Yes.
How do you look at that? They are not even ashamed to say it. They are not even ashamed to tell you that the economic measures they are taking, the reforms they tout, are not originally their own ideas, but are taken from the IMF. So when you have that, it's an entire government taking its economic blueprint from a foreign institution. What is it? Is it in pronouncing words that you would expect excellence? No, and that is what permeates the entire system, from top to bottom, from bottom to top. There isn't that, there isn't that attention to details. There isn't that agenda that, okay, we must attain this. Or, people are still stuck in, I don't know what Azikiwe had a quarrel in 1961, in 1950. Mm-hmm. What has that got to do with you? Ask them, look, those nationalists,
yes,
they live better lives. In the 60s, my father went to the University of Ibadan. They were two in a room. They had chicken and all of those things. In fact, a friend of mine told me that there was a time when, they will hold parties that, I think people, in university that will hold parties. They would, how much was a meal then? So they will gather money, they'll save enough money, gather it. And then the food they will serve at those parties was the food they bought. So they had a lot of rice, yes. They put everything together, hold a party, and that was what they served to people. So they lived better. And you are comparing yourself to them. So that is why there is so much chaos in our system today. Because people will tell you, it is that, our forefathers. I asked them, I said, do you know you are just displaying, cognitive dissonance? Your forefathers didn't have a mobile phone. Your forefathers didn't have the internet. They didn't have social media. They didn't have all of these tools.
Yes.
How can you compare to that time? People say, let's go back to the religion of our forefathers. Say, if you want to go, if you even want to worship yourself, please go ahead. Don't drag me into your lack of, cognitive appreciation. Whatever you like, you can go and worship. That's your business. But the fact of the matter is that after, in the worship of God, you should also realize that in you are qualities of godliness.
Yes.
And one of it is the ability to create, the ability to design, the ability to conceptualize. We wouldn't be here if all these lights, cameras, and all these things, if people did not think about them. In form, in design, in conception, in everything. If people didn't think about this, we would not be here. Maybe we'll still be fanning, by the way, fire. How was fire discovered? There was a time in this world, in the world, that people were not using fire.
Very well.
How was fire discovered? How did we not get to the point where the mobile phone, people felt, communication had to be personal.
No. Yeah.
And they started working on it. Now they're talking about blindness. That in Australia, they've developed a device, a bionic eye. Russia says it has found a vaccine to cure cancer. These are advances. People are thinking, but what we are thinking in Nigeria is that, these people should go back to their place. They are doing this. this and that. You forget the fact that today I tell people that the language of the world today is coding. Just like in those days when our forefathers many years ago, they wrote things on caves, on walls and all that. You had all those inscriptions, those in CBD inscriptions, those knock, terracotta, all those things. Now they have been. You even had the Ifa. You know. Yes. You even had the Ifa. You had all of that was derived from Ifa, and then today those things have become a part of the educational system globally. So we must discard all these lazy mental attitudes and embrace change, embrace development, look into the future. We have many problems. Like somebody said, for God so loved Africa, that he gave us many problems. Solve one, and you build prosperity. And that is the way the world is. Yes, that's the way the world is. The world is now the developed world. I'm sorry to use that word, They're not talking of airport taxes. So you just want to hop, air taxis, I'm sorry. You just want to get somewhere, you hop on a taxi, an air taxi, and it zooms off. They're talking of different innovations. Innovations here and there. That is why it's also good for Nigerians, for people to travel. But the sad things that you see Nigerians living in all these countries, where they see these things, they are the worst. The thinking of some of them is so. You just wonder whether when they walk through the streets, whether they walk with their eyes closed or their brains shut down. Because you will expect that when people are in a sophisticated system, that their mindset will change, their worldview will change, their attitude to things will change. No. They are even worse than people here. Some even call themselves lecturers. There is one like that on X. The kind of things he propagates on X. And this is a lecturer in UK. If he's watching this thing, I'm telling him it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to academic accomplishment. He has a doctorate, but he's a total disgrace. When you learn, when you as you rise in academic accomplishment, your worldview should be refined. Your worldview, the way you think, the way you look at things, you change.
So very interesting, actually, Emeka, that we actually, started from, late Tafa Balewa and everything he has going on, and how that, if we compare it to what we have today, there is so much disparity that we really need to fill in that particular blank space. But let's quickly go on to the weekend trojans before we call it a wrap for this particular segment. Who succeed Yakubu as INEC chair? Emeka, should Nigerians really care about that?
Well, the thing is this. Yes, because of the system we run, the centralized system we run. Otherwise, if we had restructuring, if we had a restructured federation, should we really bother about who is the president? Apart from just going to vote, you should bother more about the local levels. Who is your councillor? You should bother more about who is your councillor, who is your, who is your local government chairman. You should bother more about such, not bother about, who is being chosen as INEC chairman. Because INEC doesn't conduct local government elections. But you see the shenanigans you find at the national level have permeated, to the grassroots. So states don't conduct local government elections these days. What do they conduct? Coronation. In some states, they don't even vote. People will be at the polling center and you just see elections. Election results are announced. So we continue to drag ourselves back. And we think that we are making progress. Let me tell you something. The world will surprise us one of these days. When we begin to see that we are nothing, we don't, in fact, maybe the world doesn't have any use for anything from Nigeria, including the people in Nigeria. But the world gets to a point where even your raw materials, and they don't even need it because they have developed scientification to the level that they don't need your raw materials and all that. Then we will be forced to think with our education, we'll be forced to refine our ways. The money wasted on elections, it can be
put into better use and
billions and all of that.
Grow the economy.
Better use. You see somebody, you just go and pick one lout, one thug from somewhere, and make him a local government chairman. Somebody who cannot even organize his own home. Somebody who cannot run a kiosk, you make him a councillor. You make him a governor. I mean, look at National Assembly, look at state assemblies. You see people proudly telling you anything the president brings will rubber stamp it. What does it show? It shows people actually questioning the integrity of their education.
That is it.
Because even in an office, even when your boss sends a memo to you, or your colleague sends a memo to you, the subordinate, you are supposed to go through. You are supposed to point out that no, this is not this. No. I think this should read this way. This should be changed. But somebody just says whatever the president brings will rubber stamp. That tells you that person's education, honestly, it's a lot. It's it leaves a lot to be desired. People should talk about things that challenge their intellect every day. That's how we have a better society, not a society of yes men. And that is why Africans generally have been unable to really appreciate democracy. We are so monarchical in our thinking. The king has said, who is the king? Who is he? He said, no, he won't be like you. What gives him? It was an archaic idea that, the king has spoken, and that should be final. He should not be challenged. That's utter nonsense. That is why you see people calling for the abolition of all these monarchies, all these kingdoms, all these traditional rulers. People calling all that system should be abolished.
But unfortunately, it has migrated or soaked into the political class that we have. Rather now, it is beginning to look like
Baba Sokwe.
Yeah.
That the Godfather has spoken. Yeah. Who the hell is he? I'm sorry to use that word. Who the heck is he? Let's engage in debates. I do that in my home a lot. I say, okay, this is my idea. What do you think? Can't impose things on, because let me tell you, there's what is called malicious obedience. When people obey you with some malice in them, ultimately that thing will fail. Because you are not allowing them to bring out the best in them. What they are just engaging in is, okay, well, I don't want trouble. Okay, let me just accept. But deep down, that person knows that what you are saying he or she should do is utter nonsense.
Really well.
But it's sad the way we think the world gives a hoot about it. Let me tell you, the whole of Africa. I did a course at Lagos Business School some years ago, and we did a comparative analysis of what different continents were contributing to the world. And what did we see from Africa? Just 2%. So that means the world can do without Africa. The world can just close its eyes, look away from. If I just even wipe off Africa,
like it never existed.
Like if you look at the map of the world from North Korea, there's no Africa there. Look at the map.
Really?
Google it. The map of the world by a North Korean leader. The way he drew. You won't see Africa there. So why can't we just do things the right way? Why? You express your intentions in an election. We are not talking of who succeeds Yakubu. Yakubu has not been a fantastic INEC chairman. So I don't even expect anything better, because the electoral law is faulty. The constitution is faulty. So when the foundation on which you set a building is faulty, what do you expect about the building? So now that is the problem. Everything is faulty. So the INEC chairman, there's a section that talks about results, collection of results. He says there shall be transmission. Somewhere again it says there shall be transfer. Now that is the problem. Because transmission and transfer mean two different things. They don't mean the same thing.
Okay.
They're not even synonyms. Transmission is not a synonym of transfer. Transfer is not a synonym of transmission. But they are there in the laws. So a lot of things need to be changed. Then who appoints the INEC chairman? It should not be in the hands of the executive. Then we need technology. The beavers, the IRF must go into the Electoral Act and into the Constitution, not staying in the guidelines to conduct of elections as issued by INEC. Those are the problems. And then we need responsible politicians, not adventurers, not people who are out to go and loot the treasury. And then that's when we can have a serious electoral system. Otherwise, it will just be a sham. Even if you or me becomes INEC chairman, we will still end up with the same thing. You have a collation of results at ward and local government level. How has it helped? We say results should be transmitted from the polling units to the IRF, but the IRF was switched off during the transition of results of presidential election in 2023. So when you have people who are patently dishonest, cannot speak the truth. Truth is not a standard. What do you expect?
Very well true.
The electoral system will remain a sham. That is what we have.
Very well true, Emeka. And of course, no one is obliged to any system of indenture servitude at this particular point. You know, it's the desire of everyone to speak out, just like we have going on right here on Enterprise Television. Because if we do not, then we might be, of course, held complicit for partaking in the distrust, especially from Nigerians, over what we have today going on. Just to let you know, people, Emeka will be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Fubara resumes promises unity and development for Rivers. That in the beat is still Enterprise Weekend. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.